recognize this as a grievous crime, and you say, oh, but Africans were involved. This was a whole system. They built ships, and they built the ships.
Women of Nigerian origin has said that the United Kingdom should have opposed the recognition of slavery as a crime against humanity. Now, Kamma Dyn, who is Nigerian and was born in Nigeria.
Slave owning live in the epigenetics of white people, and I would argue yes. My family, my heritage, I am Irish, Mexican, and a little bit of Germanic, but I also learned at my family reunion
So the Ghanaian president has responded to critics from the people that are criticizing the resolution of the transatlantic slave trade at the UN. The divide and conquer strategy that these people have been using against us, we are still doing the same thing. He has a word for you. And also, Kamma Dyn, the opposition leader in the UK, has also said something that as an African, you should be worried about this same slave trade thing. And I have some Americans reacting to some of these things that is going on. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go into the video, watch, come back and talk.
A few of our people, I don't know whether for attention or popularity, criticized the achievement and tried to belittle it. And they made all kinds of infantile arguments. They say, oh, but Africans were involved. I mean, it doesn't, the crime was systematic. The ships that carried the slaves were insured by reputable insurance companies that are some of the richest in the world today and profited from the slave trade. The ship owners made money. Reparations, and listen to the important one, reparations were paid to slave owners for letting the slaves go. When they abolished slave trade and said the slaves could go, they compensated the person who has enslaved somebody for loss of property. As recently as 2015, compensation was paid to people for losing their slaves. And you come and tell me that we recognize this as a grievous crime, and you say, oh, but Africans were involved. This was a whole system. They built ships, and they built the ships with measurements to make sure that the cargo can take the maximum amount of slaves. And you tell me that, you know, Africans were involved, so we shouldn't talk about reparations. You know, I don't know. I mean, some people just, you know, want to whittle down what happened. If you know what happened to the slaves, nothing compares to it in everything that has happened in this world, to the 15 million people who were sent away, those who died. I'll give you the case of one example. A ship captain threw 134 slaves overboard to go and claim insurance because the cargo, your ancestors were cargo. And so if the ship lost cargo, there was insurance that compensated for the loss of cargo. And 134 slaves, he threw them overboard and went and filed an insurance claim for loss of cargo. And you know, before now, the arguments have been fragmented. A few people have acknowledged. I know some of the leading corporates have come and apologized for their role in this, but the whole discussion has been fragmented. And so our purpose was to put it on record, the true story of the slave trade. If even to just let the spirit of our ancestors rest, I am happy that we went. I'm happy that we went to the General Assembly and it is recorded for eternity in the records that this happened. It will never be forgotten. Those who seek to erase their memory have failed. Their memory is in the records of the highest platform, global platform that we have. And so let's not trivialize it and say, oh, but there were people involved. In the record of the Holocaust, there were Jews who were prison guards. There were Jews who pointed out where other Jews were hiding. And yet the Holocaust is recognized as genocide and a crime against humanity. So why not the slave trade? Because some Africans were involved. It doesn't absolve those who built the system and financed it. And so we'll call them out. I don't care what anybody says, we'll call them out. And so Ghana has done its bit. Ghana has been recognized for leading the Pan-Africanist struggle, and I think this is just an extension of that leadership. Now that we have it on record, the same coalition that came together to do this, including our CARICOM brothers and sisters, they have a 10-point plan on reparations. I think that we should build a coalition around their 10-point plan for reparative justice and restitution. And it goes beyond just reparations. It includes artifacts that were stolen. Only recently, the head of one of our chiefs has been returned. It is in 37, being preserved in 37. They cut off his head and took it and put it in a museum for many years. It has only recently come back. And so it's a broader discussion than those who seek to trivialize it. And we will continue to lead if our leadership is needed, but we'll continue to be a good part of that coalition that continues to press for reparative justice and restitution.
My people, British Nigerian politician Kamma Dyn says Britain shouldn't pay for slavery because, get this, Britain ended it. Yes, you can't make this up. In a post on X, she criticized Britain for abstaining instead of voting against the UN resolution officially recognizing slavery as the gravest crime against humanity. In her own words, Britain should have unequivocally voted no because, quote, it led the fight to end slavery and shouldn't pay for a crime that it helped eradicate.
What the conservative leader has said, Kamma Dyn, that's her opinion, that is clearly not supported by the facts. If you think about the historical fact, which cannot be contested, that slave masters were compensated in the UK. And taxpayers, she's concerned about taxpayers. She was not about taxpayers paying the slave owners who were compensated because slavery was abolished. And taxpayers, UK taxpayers, have been paying until 2015. The amount of money they've been paying, £20 million at the time. Estimates say that at today's value is in excess of £2 billion. And UK taxpayers have been burdened with that. They've paid the slave masters, can you believe that? Just for losing the slaves because slavery has been abolished. But the slaves themselves and their descendants were never compensated. And she doesn't appear concerned about that. That is really, really unfortunate. Really regrettable and unconscionable, I must say. And I do hope that she will take a second look at her history notes.
Breaking news. The leaders of the opposition party of the United Kingdom, Kamma Dyn, a woman of Nigerian origin, has said that the United Kingdom should have opposed the recognition of slavery as a crime against humanity. Now, Kamma Dyn, who is Nigerian and was born in Nigeria, has said that the United Kingdom should oppose the declaration of slavery of Africans as the greatest crime against humanity. Now, the UK is the largest or one of the largest beneficiaries of slavery. And when slavery ended, the United Kingdom paid slave owners money because of the loss of their slaves. And this woman doesn't think that Africans deserve the recognition of the crimes committed against them.
This woman just said, if the trauma of slavery lives in the epigenetics of Black people, she's a Black woman, then doesn't the evil of slave owning live in the epigenetics of white people? And I would argue yes. My family, my heritage, I am Irish Mexican and a little bit of Germanic, but I also learned at my family reunion last year with our second cousins. Our oldest relative came over on the Mayflower and had a slave with him. Now, my grandmother married my grandpa, her being some mud of whiteness, and my grandfather being deep native Mexican. Her father was vindictively racist. His name was also Camillus, which is the most comically evil name I've ever heard. But she always says that her father's mother was the actual devil, and that we are breeding the evil out of us. And I actually feel it. I feel like a vindictive cruelty in my own mouth sometimes. I know words I could use to dismantle people, and I've learned to stop that impulse, but it only got easier when I stopped hating myself and falling in love with life and falling in love with the beauty of nature. But I think a lot of people, because they refuse to acknowledge that cruelty innate to their genetic makeup, they'll never escape it, and they will never make the conscious effort to breed it out of them. And obviously, like, I'm not saying you have to marry a person of color as a white person to, like, clean up the bloodline and the genetics. I'm saying you have to do a lot of deep and intentional work on yourself. You have to find that vein of malice and cut it at the root and suture it shut. And you just have to be aware of yourself.
The United States playbook when it comes to countries we don't like is destabilize them economically to the point where the people are suffering, are being crushed under sanctions, are not able to access their basic needs, foment anger amongst the population because they're not able to access their basic needs. Make it seem as if you actually are going in to save the people who are not able to access their basic needs, despite the fact that it's because of you that they're not able to access their basic needs. Overthrow the government of the people and frame yourself as if you're actually liberating them, when in fact the only reason that you're there is because there were some natural resources that the former government refused to allow you to have that now you have access to. Add in a little bit of sprinkle of propaganda about how, look at how these people are living. They don't even have access to this or that. Never mention that you're the reason that they don't have access to this or that because you've cut them off completely from the global economy. And then when your coup d'etat causes an insane power vacuum and there's civil war in the country, sit back and complain as the population of that country streams into the United States or streams into Europe and say, these immigrants need to go back to their shithole countries. Or install an American-friendly dictator that nobody in the country actually likes, and that person will commit human rights atrocities that are worse than whatever the people were going through before when you saved them. We did it, Patrick. We saved the city. Donald Trump is sitting here talking about the humanitarian crisis in Cuba. You're causing the humanitarian crisis in Cuba. Lift the sanctions if you want to save the humanitarian crisis in Cuba. But they don't give a fuck about that. The only reason that they're doing this is because Marco Rubio has a personal bone to pick, and he's trying to instigate regime change. The problem is, what the United States thinks is that they can do all this with impunity, they can take out the Venezuelan president, they can do whatever, but the problem is that the chickens always come home to roost, actually. And the population of the world does not actually forget the actions of the United States.
Did y'all see what that white granny said about black people at the No Kings rally? Watch this.
Seems like there's a lack of diversity here today. That it's mostly people who look like you and I. And I just
it is not for black people, for people of color to get out on the street. They're at risk when they do that. If anybody's going to get arrested here, it's going to be a black person. It is not safe for them, and they don't need to participate. We need to walk in their name.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, okay.
I know that's right, Granny. She said, look here, Nate. Leave black folks alone. They do not need to be out here in these streets. She said, this is not their fight. They not the ones who put this orange motherfucker in office. It was white folks. So we need to be the ones to try to get his motherfucking ass out. She said the only thing that's going to happen if black folks come out is they're going to get their ass arrested. And we don't need that. So we going to keep on fighting the good fight because they done fought enough. Nate was shooketh. He was not expecting Granny to say that shit. Talking about some, wow, okay. Then he asked her about voter ID.
What do you think about voter ID? Do you think it's racist?
It's 100% a tactic to control the population and prevent people from voting, so that the only votes so that the gerrymandering can work, so that white voters can vote in white Christian males.
Hell yeah, it's racist. Then he had the nerve to ask her if she had a vote between Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, who would she vote for? And this is what she said.
If you had to vote for a Republican, J.D. Vance or Rubio, which one would you pick if you had to?
Yeah. I would slit my throat.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Granny said, stop playing with me, Nate. You know good and goddamn well I wouldn't vote for nan one of them motherfuckers. Go ahead and take me out. If that's my only options, then I'm gonna go ahead and take myself out because you got me fucked up. She said, I'm going up a yonder. I'm going up a yonder to be with my love. Before she vote for Rubio or J.D. Vance. Not happening. I don't know who Meemaw this is, but she officially Granny. That's Nana right there. She not Meemaw no more. That's black people's Nana right there. You got allies and you got accomplices. And Granny is an accomplice. She gonna get out there in the field with black folks and put in that work. She not just gonna sit there and talk. She gonna put action to her motherfucking words. Granny said, you got the right motherfucking one today, Nate.
One of the main comments I receive in my videos from pro-Israeli people who are trying to defend the Israeli aggression into Iran is, but why are the Iranians killing their innocent civilians? The same reason cops killed black people in America. Like, it's so funny that everyone has literally accepted the brutality and deaths of black people as normal, as part of society, that no one ever sees anything wrong with it. You're out here Americans are out here asking, oh, but the Iranians are killing their people. Literally, the fucking cops that walked into Breonna Taylor's house and shot her while she was asleep. The feds just asked they just asked the case to be dismissed. They're letting them go. Last year, more than 60 black men were found hanging, lynched. This year, they've already found 4. What is it that they don't do to us in this country? A woman called 911 because she saw someone outside her window. She was scared. A cop walked in there and shot and killed her in her fucking home. We have Sandra Bland. We have enough of these situations. Every day, black Americans are going through a fucking genocide in this country. But everyone has accepted black genocide to be normal, that everyone just ignores it and goes, oh, what about the Iranians? Well, the same reason Americans are doing what they're doing here. What's the if you think Iran should be bombed for what it is doing, there has been a continuous 400-year genocide against black people in America. What should happen to America? Fucking pieces of shit.
So let me get this straight. I can go to jail for stealing a snack, driving a couple miles above the speed limit, or smoking a little bit of reefer, but the people in power, the people that run all of this shit, the people that own the federal system, the people that own all systems can touch kids, rape kids, molest, murder, torture kids, drink their blood, poison our foods, poison our skies, poison our waters. And when they do it, it's okay. And they get to do that. And they get away with it scot-free. That's the ratio. That's the logic. Got it.
How long could you survive if your income stopped tomorrow? I was making $270,000 a year and we had 1 month of runway. And my spouse at the time asked me a question that almost broke me. If you lost your job tomorrow, how long could we survive? I did the math. 2 months, maybe 3. And I was earning $270,000 a year back then. We had a lake house, we had twin infants that were going through 20 diapers a day, and a life that looked successful from the outside. Behind the curtain though, 1 month of real runway. And that's not wealth. That's high income. It's a house of cards. I didn't sleep that night, not because I thought I'd lose my job, but because I realized something that most people never admit. Everything that we had built depended on one fragile system. Me showing up. No exceptions. If the income stopped, the illusion collapsed. And that night, it changed the way that I thought about money forever. I stopped measuring wealth by my salary. I started a simple discipline. Live on 70%, invest 20%, keep 10% in cash reserves. And I stopped chasing the appearance of wealth. I started building stability. I stopped obsessing over net worth on paper, and I started focusing on cash flow. Then I began acquiring cash flowing assets, assets that pay me whether I show up or not, assets that generate income without demanding more of my time, assets that replace dependency with control. And today, that question, it doesn't hit my chest the same way because the answer is different. The solution was never a bigger paycheck. It was ownership, cash flowing assets, income streams that aren't tied to my hours. So let me ask you the same question that changed my life. If your income stopped tomorrow, how long could you survive? And the harder question, what's your plan to change that?
Now imagine this, fam. The country wakes up tomorrow and everyone goes online as usual, but black people were nowhere to be found, anywhere, in any of the usual spaces. Not there uploading videos, not there talking and chatting and commenting and viewing and liking and none of that. Nowhere to be found, all of a sudden, just gone. And the next day it was the same. And suddenly the country realized they're gone, they left, where are they? And it turns out they'd all gone to a space that was actually designed for us. But not just to talk, not just to yap. Yeah, yapping is included. But to actually build and create together, to be in community with one another, to actually build the largest network, the largest community of black people, connected black people the world has ever seen. And we were all working together to create businesses at scale, just being launched left and right. They were out competing everyone. We had our own economy that was reinvesting in itself and where everybody had an opportunity to both contribute and benefit, to share the wealth that's created in a new form of democratic capitalism that we'd created. And we all had a vote in this direct democracy where everyone could help decide on important matters of self-governance, as well as things like which of our founders will get investment from our investment fund for black founders. We were completely self-sustained, and this is where we were. We'd gone in Exodus. We weren't there. After 400 years of them being able to reliably manipulate us and use us and extract from us, we were just gone. The dopest part of all of this is that we can make tomorrow that day. Literally, we can make tomorrow that day. You can go to our profile here, tap that shortcut that will take you straight to the sign up form, and you can get signed up. And when you wake up tomorrow, go to that space, contribute, and see what we're rallying around, what we're building together. Tell everyone you know in our community that the world is about to change. Get signed up and be part of that change. Now is the time, family. We have everything we need to create the nation, the world that we deserve.
The UAE is responsible for what happened in Sudan. And so when the African Union puts out a statement purporting to tell the world where African people's allegiance lies when it comes to the Israel-Iran war, that is completely preposterous. They do not speak for African people. We thinking African people know where our allegiance lies. Israel, the promised land, was supposed to be somewhere in East Africa. Right now, Israel is aggressively shopping for allies in Northeast Africa. In Kenya, an Israeli settler colonialist is buying large swaths of land. It is impossible that the African Union can speak for African people on this issue. It is extremely concerning, and this counter-revolutionary organization should be looked into, like I said before. Its chairperson is a Djibouti national by the name of Mahmoud Yusuf. Djibouti, mind you, is host to more than 10 foreign military bases. The US's largest military base is in Djibouti. A tiny African nation barely registers on a map. China even has a military base right adjacent to the US one. All of these military bases are controlling trade routes. After the Strait of Hormuz is the Suez Canal, that is the second most important economic and geopolitical choke point in the world. After the Suez Canal, it's Bab el-Mandeb. Bab el-Mandeb is right there on the Eritrean and Djibouti coast, connecting it to Yemen, connecting the African continent to the Arabian Peninsula, connecting Europe and Asia and all of these trade routes. We know the repercussions of the attacks on the Strait of Hormuz, economic fallout that is going to come from that, the instability. All of that is going to severely affect the African continent as well as the entire world. As a result, global energy security is going to be completely dependent on Djibouti and Bab el-Mandeb. But Djibouti is occupied. It is occupied by the world superpowers and their forces. And when the African Union picks a side in this conflict, it is directly endangering African people. It is detrimental to the African people's security and safety. Because we have more than 40 US embassies on the continent. Remember, as a Kenyan millennial, I remember August 7th, 1998. That incident that happened at the US embassy completely changed our brain chemistry as kids in Kenya. It burst the bubble of our innocence back then. And so when you do that, when the African Union does this, it puts a target on the backs of so many African people who are working in these places. The official number is not even known, but there are more than 30 official U.S. military bases on the continent and the other smaller cooperative security locations. And so we are always in the crosshairs as African people, and the African Union must not interfere in this. But I know they are going to, because they sit back and let what is happening in Sudan happen in Sudan. They let what is happening in Congo happen in Congo. African nations are permanent bloodbaths. Meanwhile, they do nothing. The AU should concentrate on solving African problems.
You see, it's sometimes funny how we allow ourselves to be used in so many ways. I hope you heard the president of Ghana. Even the Jews that are today enjoying their reparations, the Jews that are enjoying their reparations today, some of their people betrayed them in their Holocaust. But when it came to taking their reparations, we never saw anything of this sort that some FBAs and Black Americans are doing or saying on the internet. We never saw anything like that, and they are enjoying it today. Why are we doing this to ourselves? We allow ourselves to be used anytime. Some FBAs will tell you they started to take their reparations since 18-something. The question is, where did you people get to? Were you able to finally get the whole world to vote against something of this sort? Ghana stepped forward. Ghana did this. And you know, the sad thing is Ghana did not do this alone. Ghana was just the leading country to do this. But Ghana did not do this alone. Together with the Black American community leaders in America, CARICOM, that's the leaders in the Caribbeans and in Africa, together they did all this. So some people say Ghana did not consult, Ghana did not tell anyone. Bro, Ghana told everybody. And also, I don't get it. Most of you will say you are not Africans, you are not indigenous Africans, you are Americans, you are indigenous Americans. The president of Ghana went there specifically. They said the transatlantic slave trade. So why are you bothered? As an FBA, you say you are a foundational American or Black American. Why are you bothered? Because so many of you have said you are not Africans. And the president of Ghana specifically went there for the transatlantic slave trade. So why are you bothered? Black people, the Jews are enjoying their reparations. I think the Japanese also have taken their reparations. And look at us, what we are doing on the internet. Divide and conquer. We are doing this to ourselves. It's so sad. It's so sad and it's so funny. And I'm sure the white person or these white people are just there watching us and laughing at us because we don't think. It's so sad. Thank you so much for watching.